President-elect Trump says some of his cabinet picks have been the targets of bomb threats and also swatting attacks. The FBI is investigating.
So what do we know about this? We're joined now by national security analyst Hal Kempfer. What happened here, Hal?
Well, Alex, what happened was that they got a series of bomb threats, pipe bomb threats, and then there was swatting, where they basically call in to say there's a threat to cause SWAT to swarm on a location. And this involved a number of cabinet picks, also others like Representative Stefanik in New York, the pick for UN, Donald Trump's incoming chief of staff, a number of different individuals. Interestingly, even Matt Gaetz, who was hit with a bomb threat, he's not even a pick now because he's already dropped out. But he also had a threat as well. As far as I can see, no actual bombs. But certainly, if you look at the number of people, this had to be a very coordinated attack.
So where do law enforcement go from here? Because I guess anybody could call in something like this and create sort of chaos, but you also want to take it seriously. How do you go through this?
Well, they could, but because of the way it was coordinated with so many different people being hit near simultaneously, that does rule out a lot of possibilities. And I'm sure that the FBI obviously is going to be looking at this very closely, but they're going to look at a lot of different things. Obviously, they're going to look at maybe extreme political opponents of Donald Trump would be a logical choice. But keep in mind, there's also that threat by Iran. Iran has an ongoing threat of assassination of not just Donald Trump, but a number of his former cabinet members from his first administration. So they're going to be looking at foreign threats as well. And they may be looking at some other types of terrorist threats, international, domestic. But there's a variety of suspects, shall we say, that they're going to be looking at very closely.
Well, you mentioned Iran. They fund Hezbollah. We're about 24 hours into that ceasefire deal that was agreed to yesterday between Israel and Hezbollah. What does this mean, though, for the actual war in Gaza?
Well, Marla, it is interesting because everyone hears ceasefire and they instantly think of all the work that's been done for a ceasefire in Gaza. This only affects Lebanon, and it's completely separate and apart from Gaza. Even Iran today turned around and said that they support the ceasefire in Lebanon, and they weren't linking it to Gaza, which was kind of a first. Kind of didn't really make the top of the news cycle, but it was rather interesting. Now, with that said, Hamas has said they are open to a ceasefire. They said they want a ceasefire. This does sound certainly rhetorically like an opening. It doesn't sound like they've necessarily crossed some of these key threshold issues, such as are they willing to leave Israeli forces in Gaza for an interim period or a longer period? That's not clear. They have indicated they'd be willing to release the hostages, but that's great in terms of an aspiration. The mechanics is what they got to work through. And also keep in mind Qatar, the main place where the negotiations are going. They kicked the Hamas negotiators, the interlocutors, out because they got so frustrated with them because they wouldn't agree on releasing the hostages. So there's a lot of work to be done on this. So I wouldn't hold my breath on this happening really fast, but certainly there is some momentum.
Picking up on that point, Hamas does say that it is ready to cooperate, wants to see the war end. Is there precedent for that in that since September 7th of last year? Have we heard Hamas go that far?
Well, I think they went a little further rhetorically than they went before, but I have to tell you, I don't hold my breath every time I hear there's a ceasefire coming in Gaza. We've gone through this so many times where we thought we're within days or maybe a week of a ceasefire, and nothing came of it. The big difference now, though, is Iran has basically set Hamas adrift, if you will, basically backing Hezbollah's ceasefire arrangement that is completely separate and apart from Hamas. I'm sure that for the leaders of Hamas, that was a bit of a shock to see them come out and say that publicly. And that tells them that they're kind of on their own. If they're going to negotiate something, they better do it soon. And frankly, the Israelis are not holding back in any way, shape, or form. They're pressing with the offensive. They're moving heavy and hard in northern Gaza, going after the remnants of the Hamas forces. So Hamas realizes it's a matter of time. They don't have a lot of options, so they've got to do something.
Real quickly, back here at home, a lot of people are going to be traveling. A lot of people are going to be in their cars. A lot of people going to malls in the next few days. Any reason to be concerned? Any particular threats this holiday season here?
Well, yes, and actually the FBI and others have been saying we are at a heightened sense or heightened alert level, if you will, for terrorism, both international and domestic. Now, this was before the election. They were putting this out. It hasn't really changed, but certainly with everything that's happening in Lebanon right now, everything that's happening with Iran right now, we need to be leaning forward. You know, that if you see something, say something. I would say anybody go to dhs.gov before you plan to travel or go to any places and look at the signs of terrorism, if you will, the signs of suspicious activity. Kind of refresh your memory, maybe watch a short video or something. And if you see people, you know, if you see unattended packages, bags, backpacks, you see people standing around suspiciously, overcome that reluctance to do nothing, which is kind of human nature. You know, look the other way and just keep on going. Be alert and do report it. And get that into the system. If it's not reported, nothing will happen. If it's reported, the chance of it being thwarting a potential terrorist attack is much higher. So this holidays, and by the way, back at New York at Macy's Day Parade, they are leaning way forward. They have a very heightened counterterrorism program that's been set up. So I would say everybody do that on this weekend.
All good reminders, dhs.org, to remind yourself of those tips. If you want more Hal Kempfer in your life, who doesn't? Check out his podcast. It's called Strat. Hal, happy Thanksgiving to you and your family. Thanks so much for being with us tonight.
Happy Thanksgiving, Marla. Happy Thanksgiving, Alex.
Thanks so